June, July, and August are by far the most dangerous months. So right now we are right in the middle of the highest risk time, and we've got to keep these reminders top of mind with families as much as we can.
Already, 10 children have died in hot cars this year. What changes can parents make, the government, car makers, and how does the everyday driver fit in? We dig into it. You can click on almost any state in the lower 48 on this graphic map, and there is a child that has died due to being left in a hot car. The only state without a death since we started keeping this kind of data in 1990 is the state of Vermont. The director of kidsandcarsafety.org warns we're going to continue to hear these tragic stories all over our nation and right here at home.
In North Carolina, at least 46 children have died in vehicles since 1991. And one of them has been this year. You know, this is a tragedy that is going to continue happening until we can get technology in vehicles that will detect children and provide alerts to the driver, bystanders, emergency contacts, or even authorities to come save them.
2 weeks ago, moms from all over the nation met in Washington, D.C. to tell their stories and to call on government entities to require change. The Hot Cars Act of 2021 requires safety measures in passenger cars to reduce injuries or deaths from heat stroke. The act directs the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to issue a safety standard that includes a system to detect and warn of the presence of an unattended occupant.
Sadly, that rule is almost a year overdue, and they just extended their timeline for when they're going to issue the proposed rulemaking, which is just the first step in a very long process.
The next mother we're going to hear from is Taylor.
One of the moms who made the trip to D.C. was living in Mebane when her daughter died.
And it took me about 2 years to really be able to speak and speak through the grief.
On the anniversary of her daughter Fiona's death, Taylor told her story for the very first time, and she called for change.
But I can fight for the technology that would have saved Fiona's life. I can fight for these simple changes that can save other children's lives.
Taylor lost her daughter Fiona on July 1st, 2022. It happened right here in the Triad. The family lived in Mebane at the time. This is Fiona's story. It was July 1st, 2022 in Mebane.
It was not our typical morning. My husband worked at a plant as a manager. That night he got home around 3 and he woke up around, I think, 6:30. My husband asked me if he could go back to sleep. And this is one of my biggest regrets. I said, no, I need your help getting the kids out the door. My husband was on autopilot. And because he had been going back and forth to the plant at night, he just went straight there.
Not only was the family's routine a little different that morning, but their daughter's car seat was different too.
We had recently changed her car seat from the bucket seat that you take in and out to a stationary seat, and it was turned around.
Taylor's husband went into work.
He had a meeting all morning.
When he came out around lunchtime, he could hardly get the words out on the phone.
He couldn't tell me how bad it was. I don't think he could verbalize it. My husband, they had such a special bond. And he has to live with this every day of his life.
Unfortunately, Fiona's story is one of far too many. The pictures and the stories on the Kids and Car Safety website just make you really want to cry when you see all of the children and their families that are forever changed.
Most people truly believe this is something that will never happen to them because they love their children so much and they think about them all the time. I mean, most parents do, right? So it's really an understandable thing that people have a hard time wrapping their head around it.
So often it is simply a change of routine that leads to a hot car death, but not always.
We had a false sense of security with the rear seat reminder.
The truck the Sestia family owned had a rear seat reminder, but this truck, like so many, was not sensing the weight of the child in the back seat. only whether he had opened and closed the rear door at the start of his trip. 6 children, including their son Thomas, have died in cars equipped with those rear seat reminders that are now required by law.
We've been working with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and they know that that's not really an adequate solution.
Now, while the car industry continues to try and find what works, there are some really low-tech things that you can do. And the key to any of the recommendations that you're about to hear is to make it an everyday routine.
We call this our look before you lock safety checklist. Put a large stuffed animal in the back seat and it lives in the car. So anytime that you open that back door and buckle your children into the car, you move that stuffed animal up to the front seat with you as a visual cue that your children are with you. We also want parents to grab an item that they cannot start their day without and put that on the floor in the back seat. This will help you to get in the habit of opening that back door and checking the back seat every single time you park.
At this point, you might be asking, what can you do, whether you have a child that rides with you or not? Well, kidsandcarsafety.org wants folks to send a hot car letter to Congress. On its website, the information about the hot car law is there, as well as the contact information for government officials and also the Highway Traffic Safety Administration. There's even a sample letter that you can use as a guide. Well, the letter that you can write, the stories that you've heard, the recommendations for parents, you're going to find all of it in the Who Wants to Know section of our website. This is a topic that impacts so many families. We hope that you will share what you have learned. WFMY News 2 at 6 is next.